Alright, point number 2 is the whole journalists getting angry over this Gamergate thingy. I think it really blew up when the whole thing with Zoe Quinn happened. For those that don't know, Zoe Quinn was like a journalist over at Kotaku, which is a gaming website, and people reported that she was exchanging sex for positive stories of developers' video games and stuff like that. And so obviously that is a horrible, horrible thing for any journalist. I mean, imagine if you saw Rachel Maddow, oh, Rachel Maddow is giving sex to have good stories on Obama. I mean, people would flip out, because this is kind of a political type structure. It's not actually governmental politics, it's still gaming politics, and they're still journalists, and they should still be held to a certain standard. And once that leaked, I think that's when the whole Gamergate thing came up, and then people just started ignoring the Zoe Quinn thing and started talking about gamers being sexist and misogynistic and all that, which is really unfortunate, let's just say. And a lot of video game websites just decided to ignore the whole story, and that's one of the reasons that people didn't know about this Zoe Quinn person and what was going on. And at the same time, a lot of other internet websites or gaming websites and journalists kind of got together and said, well, they didn't, I don't know if they really got together and said it, but coincidentally they all came out and wrote an article that was pretty much the same thing about, you know, death of gaming or whatever. And they're saying, oh, you know, gamers are bad, and well, they didn't really say they're bad, but they just came out with this all insults towards gamers and how they're never satisfied and how they say all these bad things when they're just completely ignoring the real story about this woman who was exchanging sex for positive media access and stuff like that. And once journalists started putting out these articles, a bunch of developers and publishers started backing those journalists. And again, it is fine to say you can support people that are saying we don't like this type of group that is being really bad, you know, misogynist, sexist, anti-gay, racist, all that stuff. You can say we don't like those people, but you can't say we don't like gamers because they're this people, or this is how the gaming industry is, this is how the gaming community is. You can't say that, because that's just a huge blanket statement among the whole community. And again, like I said, you can find people all around the internet on Facebook and stuff that are just like this and that have nothing to do with gaming. And sometimes you can find people in public that are just like this, and again, that have nothing to do with gaming. You can see a lot of it in politics too. And the thing, or the person I should say, that really, really got me upset over this was the developer Phil Fish. I'm sure many people in gaming know all about him, but his type of story came out way before all this, before Anita, I think it was before Anita, before Zoe Quinn, before all this. He was the developer behind Fez, and he was like, hey, I'm going to come out with a new game, Fez 2. And then a bunch of stuff started happening. He was having all these arguments with other gamers and other people, and so he just flipped a bitch and said, alright, forget this, Fez 2 is cancelled. And then he started coming out with all these horrible statements, stuff like, gamers don't deserve Fez 2. They don't deserve my game. They don't deserve my, you know, prowess, basically, or whatever. And then he started making horrible arguments about supporting the game industry and how basically they're trying to milk more and more money out of us gamers behind DLC and all this, you know, monthly fee type things. You know, there's all these things that I'm going to touch upon in a few minutes, but this Phil Fish guy, he was just getting really, really bad press among the gaming community, not really so much among the actual gaming journalists. A little bit, but let me just say why a little bit. Imagine if a music star or whatever, like Michael Jackson or maybe even Chris Brown, came out and he was getting all this negative press like he did, and then he started getting all these bad comments from people that might listen to his music, might not listen to their music, and then he's like, forget this, the next album of mine is cancelled, you guys don't deserve my music. Imagine if those people said that. I mean, the frickin' music industry or any type of media, extra and IT or ET, whatever the hell, all those different media outlets would come out and freaking fillet them, and you would never see them have another album ever again. But actual news media don't care about us gamers. They don't care about these gaming stories and the gaming industry. If they do, they try and get the minimalist information and throw something out there so they can get hits. I've seen CNN do this, try and put out some kind of gaming articles, and they're just horrendous. I remember one time they tried to do a review of the Wii U, and they said it was just the controller was an add-on to the Wii. And there are a number of things like that. And then recently CNN was talking about the whole 4chan leaking the images of that one chick from the Hunger Games. I've never seen the Hunger Games. Anyways, and they said 4chan was a person that might have been a disgruntled former employee from Apple or something like that. They truly do not know what they're talking about. And that's another thing that really gets me upset, and why I had to make this video, because there's a lot of people and journalists, well, not a lot, but a small number of the media outlets that don't know what the hell they're talking about and that are trying to post this stuff. And so I was like, I gotta get out there and actually talk about it. But at the same time, there are some gaming outlets and gaming media type outlets, journalists, that will just try and ignore it and will try to blame gamers. And as a gamer and as a sort of kind of high person, well, not high, but person in the game industry, I had to come out here and say something about it too. Alright guys, so I went on about a 30-minute rant about this whole Gamergate stuff, so I decided to chop the video up into smaller pieces, so make sure you check out the other videos so you know what Gamergate is all about and all this stuff that's going on. And remember, I'm Hardcore Hector, so like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, subscribe if you want, and share this video so other people can actually know what's going on.